Today, we're going to talk about New Year's resolution, the one's called saving for retirement. But first, let's do the numbers from last night. Dow Jones Industrial Average closed at 49,442.44 year to date, up 2.87%. The S&P 500 closed at 6,945.28 year to date, up 1.46%. NASDAQ 100 closed at 25,549.41 year to date, up 1.19%. Gold closed at $4,626.88 per ounce, year to date up 6.7%. US dollar index closed at 99.39, year to date up 1.16%. 10-year Treasury closed at 4.169%, year to date up 0.14%. And finally, the S&P aggregate bond index closed at 225.63 year to date, up 0.285%. So, individual retirement accounts, that's what IRA stands for. It means there's no joint ownership. Whether it's a Roth IRA or a traditional IRA, only one owner. Which one is best? The answer is always the same. It depends on your individual financial goals. Sometimes having both varieties is a good idea. When you get one, you usually designate beneficiaries that in the event of a death of the account owner, it passes to them. You got to have earned income to contribute, or if filing jointly, a spouse who has earned income. This year in 2026, there's an annual limit of $7,500 or earned income, whichever is lower, for contributions total for those younger than age 50. This is a per person limit. So if you've got two 40-year-olds, then they can contribute between the two of them $15,000 as long as there's at least that much earned income. And these limits are combined contributions between Roth and a traditional IRA. You can put the entire amount into the Roth or the entire amount into the traditional, or split between the two in any proportion you like. Okay, those 50 and older may be able to contribute an additional $1,100 per year. The window of opportunity for contributions, generally speaking, is from January 1 of the tax year until April 15th of the following year. So, for instance, for tax year 2025, you could start contributing as early as January 1st, 2025, and you can keep contributing until April 15th of this year, meaning right now, today, January 16th, you can still contribute for your 2025 IRA or Roth IRA contributions. Just be sure when you write the check or talk to your broker that you let them know that that's your wish. And you should get this done before you file your tax return, because especially in the case of the traditional IRA, your tax person's going to want to do that. Know that. Okay, traditional IRA contributions may be tax deductible. Depends on income and participation in employer-sponsored retirement plans. Taxes are deferred until withdrawal during retirement. However, once you reach age 73, you have to start taking what are called required minimum distributions, RMDs. Because here's the way it works. Uncle Sam didn't get his cut when you made your contribution. At 73, he is tired of waiting for his cut. So make at least your minimum withdrawals, pay taxes on them, or pay significant penalties. I don't recommend those. Roth IRA. Contributions are made with after-tax dollars, which means you don't get a tax break now. Your taxes remain exactly the same. Withdrawals during retirement are tax-free as long as certain conditions are met. We'll talk a little bit more about that later. And there's no required minimum distribution during the account holder's lifetime. Uncle Sam got his cut up front, and so he didn't really care when you take it out. That changes if you leave it to somebody, or could change. You need to exercise extreme caution when making withdrawals prior to age 59 and a half, whether it's a Roth or traditional, as there may be taxes and penalties. Okay, advantages of the Roth IRA, tax-free withdrawals. Withdrawals in retirement are completely tax-free, which can be beneficial if you expect to be in a higher tax bracket in the future. Keep in mind you have to meet certain requirements. No required minimum distributions. So you're not forced to take money out at any age, and this allows your investments to grow tax-free for as long as you like. Contributions, not earnings, can be withdrawn at any time, tax-free and penalty-free, which offer more flexibility for financial emergencies. Withdrawals do not change modified adjusted gross income, especially important if you're on Medicare or Social Security. Roth withdrawals have no effect on provisional income used to determine the taxability of Social Security or the MAGI, modified adjusted gross income, which determines if you have to pay Medicare Part B and D surcharges. Advantages of a traditional IRA. There's an immediate tax deduction. You save on your taxes that year. Contributions may be tax deductible in the year they're made, reducing your taxable income. There's a potential for lower taxes in retirement. If you expect to be in a lower tax bracket in retirement, deferring taxes until then could save you money. Higher contributions with limits with employer plans. If you're eligible, you may be able to contribute to both a traditional IRA and an employer sponsored plan like a 401k, potentially allowing you to put more money away. There's a lot of hoops you got to jump through to make sure that happens, but it could be worth it. Okay, disadvantages of the Roth IRA. There is no immediate tax benefit. Income limits. If you're a higher earner, you may not be eligible to contribute directly to a Roth IRA. There's ways to get it into the Roth IRA, but I'm not going to talk about that today. It depends on your tax filing status and your modified adjusted gross income, which I'm going to call MAGI from now on. Married filing jointly. If your MAGI is less than $242,000 this year and you have no income related restrictions. If you have a MAGI of 242 to 252, you have some restrictions. And at 252 and higher, you cannot contribute directly to a Roth IRA. If you're a single filer, those numbers are less than 153,000, no restrictions. 153 to 168, you can do partial contributions. And if your MAGI is higher than 168, you cannot make any direct contributions. Note, we are not talking about 401ks. 401ks, Roth 401ks, and employer-related plans, these strictures do not apply. These are 2026 numbers. By the way, if you're near the limit and contributing to a Roth IRA, exercise caution when doing things that may increase your income, like Roth conversions, or at least be aware of them. Okay, disadvantages of a traditional IRA. Taxable withdrawals. When you pull the money out, you pay ordinary income tax. So if you had a whole bunch of capital gains or a whole bunch of dividends, instead of paying those rates, you're going to pay whatever rate you're paying now. Required minimum distributions. At age 73, as I mentioned before, you have to start taking money out or pay penalties. And this can have deleterious effects elsewhere. The amounts you contribute can be deductible depending on whether or not you and or your spouse are participants in your respective employer-sponsored retirement plans. Withdrawals prior to 59 and a half may be subject to penalties in addition to taxes. And the withdrawals do change your modified adjusted gross income. Again, especially important if you're on Medicare or Social Security. Traditional IRAs will affect provisional income, which determines the taxability of Social Security, or modified or MAGI, which determines if you got to pay Part B and D surcharges. With the lack of availability of defined benefit plans, pensions, it's incumbent for each of us to save for our own retirement. Time is important. Save early, save often. You got to take into consideration whether their immediate tax benefit is more important than the benefits of having an account which is tax-free in retirement. Keep in mind that $1 in a Roth account is worth more than $1 in a traditional account, as taxes are due on the traditional dollar. Exercise caution when making withdrawals prior to age 59 and a half, as there may be taxes and penalties. Once you graduate, be it from law school, welding school, engineering school, you're going to need a different plan for each of these stages that's tailored to your individual situation. During your working years, in my mind, the most important question is, am I saving enough and is it in the right place? When you get on that glide path to retirement, which is the last 10 years before you retire, will the USS retirement be shipshape on the appointed day? And in retirement, how do I avoid running out of money before I run out of life? Legacy. Does what I worked hard for get to where I want it to after I'm done with retirement? Can be reached at herwirefinancial.com. I do in-person Zoom and phone appointments. I am licensed and registered across several states and can easily add states if there is a need. If you'd like to schedule an appointment, you can click on the schedule an appointment button in the upper right-hand corner of my website. Want to see more videos like this? Go to my website and click on the YouTube channel button. It's the red one. If your friends like or want more information, they can follow me at Facebook, LinkedIn, and Twitter. For those who prefer the good old-fashioned telephone, 518-631-2569. Do not text that number. We'll both be sad because I will not get it. There's a separate texting number there. Opinions voiced in this material are for general information only, not intended to provide specific advice or recommendations for any individual. All performance reference is historical. No guarantee of future results. All indices are unmanaged and may not be invested in directly. All data is believed to be from reliable sources. However, no representation is made as to its completeness or accuracy. None of this is to be construed as tax or legal advice. Consult your advisor prior to taking any action. This information is intended to be educational, not tailored to the investment needs of any specific investor. All investing involves risk, including loss of principal. No strategy assures success or protects against loss. There is no guarantee that a diversified portfolio will enhance overall returns or outperform a non-diversified portfolio. Diversification does not protect against market risk. A Roth IRA offers tax deferral on any earnings in the account. Qualified withdrawals of earnings from the account are tax-free. Withdrawals of earnings prior to 59.5 or prior to the account being open for 5 years, whichever is later, may result in a 10% IRS penalty tax. Contributions to a traditional IRA may be tax deductible in the contribution year with the current income tax due at withdrawal. Withdrawals prior to 59.5 may result in an 10% IRS penalty in addition to current income tax. Everybody, have a great week. I'll see you next time.